I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. You can currently see him as the Phantom in Masquerade, but I knew him from his performance as Old Deuteronomy in 2016 in the Broadway Revival of CATS. So welcome, Quentin Earl Darrington. Thank you for joining me.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me, brother.
I'm excited to have you because I've seen you in a few things, and I've always wanted to have you on the show. I know I saw you in MJ, and I saw you in Damn Yankees recently, and I loved Masquerade, so I'm glad that this is actually the one, because Masquerade and Phantom and CATS are really fun to explore. So we will get to that, but we got to talk CATS first. You know, you were actually the original decision maker that ruined my life here. My whole thing of Grisabella not being the wrong choice started from the 2016 revival, and you made that decision every single night. So
Wow. Now, how do we come upon that? Like,
this is really you.
First question is yours now.
So we're gonna get there. We'll have a full debate on the Jellicle Choice, but I want to start with your history of CATS before being in the revival. So when was the first time you saw it?
Oh my goodness, I'd never seen it.
Never. So just audition, get the role, and there we go.
Yeah, but pretty much. I mean, CATS, of course, in the ether, we know what CATS is, and we know the historically, you know, it's a place on Broadway and Broadway history, knowing of the show just in the canon of musical theater history and Andrew Lloyd Webber's great works. But I've never seen it. I've just seen, small clips, heard some audio, but I'd never studied CATS, watched the old school versions up until it was time for me to go in for the show, and that's when I started researching heavily.
And what was your first thought? Like, it's a weird show. It's a very jarring, probably, first watch.
It is. I'm a huge storyteller first, actor first, and I dive deep, in my characters and shows and plots. And man, I was trying to find it with CATS as I approached the work, and but that's our work. That's what we have to do, even if there seemingly isn't one that jumps off the page at you right away. We have to tie the pieces together and make a story that's palatable for audiences and for spring our heart too. And so that's what I did before auditions.
Okay, so this is before auditions. You're doing all the research with the 1998 movie and what you could read, or because there wasn't a production to go see at that point, right?
No, there wasn't. It was absolutely the old video, great and Page, my dear brother, also of other versions that had been done. I wanted to see kind of other directorial approaches to the show, and also reading any kind of literature about the reviews of CATS, bird's eye view of what the show is doing.
Yeah, that's and then when you get the role and you're given your 3 words and this kind of like story, what was kind of the surprising moments, or what was the part that you remember of like, this I remember from the research, this is kind of I knew, and this was the part that I just wasn't prepared for?
I wasn't prepared for how heavy that suit was.
Yeah.
At all, he's a big fur ball, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun to play Old Deuteronomy and build the character, but it's definitely one that hit me because it's very, very hot. It was big and it was hot, and we had to wear like an almost an undervest made of ice. It was ice packed all in it that I wore every single show. To keep my temperature down so that I could wear it, of course, through the whole show, with only possibly one little break that I had to rush out to use the restroom and get back on stage during some of the other action of the story. But that was an adjustment. But other than that, as far as with the story itself, the story just continued to grow and flourish and take on many more dimensions and avenues and channels at the more and more I kept doing the show, which was a little over a year and a half.
Yeah. So to walk me through your Old Deuteronomy story and decision. Like this show is heavily based on the idea that Old Deuteronomy is making this decision every night. And I've heard many different variations of how that thought process comes across. So what do you remember from learning, hey, here's what he does, here's his decision-making process, here's his character, and how you ended up with this Grisabella choice every night?
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, there's so many details that I've forgotten. It's been quite a while. It's been quite a while ago since kind of hanging up the old costume. But I did start right away from the scriptures, from the Bible. It just jumped off the page to me. He's Old Deuteronomy. And so I started with Deuteronomy. And growing up a Christian brother my whole life, I've known the story of Moses very, very closely my whole life, and him leading the children of Israel out of Egypt into the promised land. And so to me, that was kind of the entry point to develop this character and the narrative of all of CATS, the entire story of this leading a group of people, receiving messages from God to help them get to the place where God intended for them to always be, which was the promised land, which of course in our show was the Heaviside Layer. And so by chapter, book by book, not just Deuteronomy, but also Numbers, Leviticus, Exodus. All of those books were a part of my creation of Old Deuteronomy and of my narrative of CATS.
Yeah. I kind of love that there is a religious undertone in this in general. Like you said, it's named Old Deuteronomy, and it does feel very like a ritualistic in a way, which I think is there. I am curious how you thought about the idea of the decision for the Heaviside Layer. Like, how does Old Deuteronomy in your world or in your mind make that decision every year? Is it a different choice every year? Is it the same choice every year? Did you not think about this at all when you were doing it? And it's just the super fans asking these questions. Like, what was your thought there?
From what I remember, the decision was based on whose time had arrived, and it was a collective. I never thought of it as a just Old Deuteronomy deciding on his own. It was not only, as I just said, a decision made from God above that was given to Deuteronomy, but also collectively of all the CATS, because I believe that they were all linked and in sync, all of the CATS. Because there's so many parts in the play where it's so evident within the storytelling that they are all in tune with one another immediately, and they're connected. And there are so many other times where those CATS break away from that connection to do their own thing, just like human beings. I mean, we all have our individuality, but we are all tied together in deep threads that make us all one. Whether people acknowledge them or not, it's part of our humanity, a part of our spirit in our humanity. And it's through those two and the tying of that and a weaving of that throughout the narrative that choice is made for the story of CATS.
I love that. I think it's fairly poetic too, of just like there's this beautiful, I like the word humanity, even though we're talking about CATS, like the idea that we're all interconnected, and there's, it's a family, but it's not they're not all related. And there's this thing that unifies them, this kind of moment that does. So when you're, like you said, it's a mutual choice. Like everyone's making a decision together. How does that moment come? Like, is there a moment at the end of memory, like before where that's happening? Or there's like a ton of theories about this, of that Gus was the choice, but then Grisabella comes back, or that Old Deuteronomy knew from day one, like all from the beginning, that because he's all knowing that Grisabella's coming back, and he's already made up his mind, and you already knew this. Like, how much of that did you even think about?
No,
None.
No. For me, the decision of the story of CAT to evolve throughout that actual night. It wasn't that Deuteronomy had already made a decision, or he had already known. If he did, there would be no reason to tell the story. Yeah, there would be no reason to go on the journey of the story. All of it was based on, I mean, of course, this happens every single year, but every single year it's different. Different things happen, different things come. Old Deuteronomy is a servant of the people, and he's a servant of God above. And he listens and leads and guides, and he also follows.
Did you ever have a day where you're like, it's my turn to go? It's like Old Deuteronomy's time.
No.
Never thought it was your turn. You never thought there was one night where like, it's finally time. I'm ready to go.
No, because again, I built this show off of Deuteronomy, off of Moses, and Moses lost his opportunity to go to the promise. And my narrative included Old Deuteronomy. He knew that he would never go. But again, being a servant to the people, to the CATS, and to God above, he was the vehicle by which he would lead them there. Then the right would be allowed to go on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to hear if taking back to the memories, it's been, like you said, it's been 10 years. Like it's been a little bit of time. Yeah. What are some of the things that you'll never forget from your time doing CATS?
Never forget that I had to dance in an Andy Blankenbuehler musical. Listen, brother, I am not a dancer. But I can move a little bit if I have to. But at that point in my career as well, I had to do a full ensemble dancing in years, and a long time. And Andy, I remember even at my audition, which was specifically for the Trevor Nunn, Andrew Lloyd Webber, and the team, it was just kind of like a 1 day, 2 day thing, in and out. That I came in, got the role. There was no dancing, there was no movement, nothing. It was to sing and speak the material of Old Deuteronomy. Praise God, I got the role, and then I showed up at rehearsal. And on like day 2 or 3, I was in the room with all of these brilliant dancers. I mean, we had the best of the best of the best in our show. All of those dancers were sick. And Andy put me right in a group with about 7 of them, 8 of them, at this one section. Because CATS, there was this one part that I had to do with these sections. And he said, all right, Q, the step is 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. And I said, and then he just said, got it? Okay. And then he just moved on. And I had never told him I could dance. I didn't even know if he knew I could dance. I had never danced before for him. I'd never met him. That was my first. I said, how does this man know that? What? So there you go. That's one of the first things that I will never forget.
Wow.
But we did it. And there's video out there too. It's crazy.
Of the rehearsal or of the?
No.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Of the show.
Yeah. I love that you're like, I'm not a dancer. We're putting you in with, like you said, some of the most talented dancers in the world. And by the way, we're going to put you in this humongous heavy suit. So not only are you not a dancer, but you're going to dance with a weighted vest on, essentially.
There you go.
And you're going through it.
Well, here's the crazy part. No, it's not just that, because yes, and the character of Old Deuteronomy, you play another cat at the beginning of the show,
opening number. Yeah.
In the opening number. So that's what I'm talking about. I played this other cat before I was Old Deuteronomy. And this cat, which I completely forgot his name. It might have been Vic. I'm not
it's
sure.
Probably Victor, because I think Gus plays Peter. There are other names from they're ensemble names to dance there.
I think it was Victor. And as Victor, this black and white cat that I was dressed up as, black, white, and gray, was a cat filling with the ball and all the other dancers. So myself and Gus, Christopher Gurr, a dear brother, friend of mine, man, we were thrown right into the depths of the highest level of dance. It was insane. We were the only two. I won't speak for Christopher. I was definitely a non-dancer amongst giants.
Yeah. I can only imagine that moment. Almost reminds me of, there's a Friends episode where they put Joey gets in a dance rehearsal that he's not qualified for, and they're like, oh yeah, you could do this, and have him do his thing. And it's exactly that, which is like, okay, they assume since you're a dancer, you know these numbers and steps, and you can just pick it up really fast because those dancers can do that. It's like they can pick it up so fast.
Oh, yeah.
That is fantastic. And like you said, you got proof now. So now when you get asked to do all these dance numbers, they're going to be like, well, you did Cats. Like, you did the peak of dance here.
Listen, that was a long time ago.
Okay. Any other kind of memorable moments from Cats?
Okay, honestly, there's so many that are just kind of flooding my mind now that you asked the question. There's the costume and makeup, which I just adored. So much of the process of learning how to become a cat and do the makeup ourselves. I mean, we were taught how to do it, and I never thought that I would be able to duplicate that look. But of course, all of the cats, we learned it and imbued our own, take on it. So that was a beautiful part of the character process. So I love that. Also, I loved the darkness of the theater. I love edgy theater. I love revolutionary theater. I love theater that pushes boundaries. And our revival of Cats, I just remember so much darkness and like from Green Eyes and the lighting of our show and how you came into this new world. They had literally painted the inside of the theater black, and my dressing room was a kind of paid homage to that. It was this really dark navy blue, really dark. From the ceiling, the floor, and the wall. So it looked like you went into a cave, and that just helped me to get into the spirit of the junkyard and of this entire story. So I appreciated that. And I'll say the last thing that really jumps out to me is the audience being on stage every night during intermission. That was probably one of my dopest memories about it all, is being able to connect with them one-on-one tangibly. That was perfect for me.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw it, it probably was you, just knowing the timing. And it was early previews and I didn't know anything about the show. And I just remember seeing the ball and then you staying up there. And then people coming up, and I'm like, "What? You don't get a break? Like, you don't get an intermission?" And just kind of a wild experience. And I love that they do that, because it does have you kind of like still, like, from a storytelling perspective, it's kind of beautiful you're still there proceeding over the ball, even though they're getting their break. But as a performer, I kept thinking, like, you don't need some water here? Like, you don't want to rest?
It's funny you bring that up, because I used to get that a lot. I used to get that from my own cast members, from other actors in the business. Many looked at it as a should have a grudge or a problem, or why in the world would you do that? I would never do that. I would never. Listen, we're all cut from different cloth, and we're all different types of performers, and we're all different types of people. For me, it was exceptional. It was the highlight of the show. It was an opportunity to give audience members something so uniquely powerful and beautiful that you can receive at any other show. God gave me this gift for people, and that's why I do it. I don't do it for myself. We're looking at it for myself. Yeah, give me what I want and do what I want to do in a certain kind of way. But it's about the people and serving the people in such a way and doing it excellently. It afforded me an opportunity to do that and extend the story right to people's faces, to their hearts, where they could literally touch me. I could touch them and talk. I stayed in character the entire time. Very much similar to what we're going to get into with what's happening in Masquerade. Doing that in Cats was, to me, artistically brilliant and extremely fulfilling, and a part of my calling as an actor.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. What a perfect pivot, because you, like you said, of having that opportunity of getting to stay in character and doing this. And like you mentioned, edgy and dark theater, Masquerade is both of those things. It is definitely an iconic character, and you're playing the Phantom. And so let's talk about Masquerade. I have had the pleasure of going through it twice. And I know, I hope everyone gets a chance. It's a very tough ticket to get, because it's an incredibly put together production. So what was for you, I assume you probably knew, just like at least with Cats, you at least know Phantom, like, a little bit of it from the lore of, like, it's an iconic show, but Masquerade is Phantom and an experience. And so, if I guess for people who haven't seen it or don't know much about it, it's immersive. Like, you are experiencing the story as you go through. So what's the reverse side of that? Like, as an audience member, we're being curated through this exceptional story, but for you, you're delivering it from a slightly different lens than a proscenium theater. Like, how was the learning the show, and not just where you need to be, but also where you decide who you're going to interact with and who you're going to, have those moments with?
Oh, great question. I'm still learning the show. And I don't think I'll ever end. I don't think I'll stop learning the show. It changes every single day, every single performance. It's so uniquely brilliant. The narrative, of course, the source material is Phantom of the Opera, but the way that Masquerade is told through this immersive, very exposed approach, there is no way to completely have the same exact things happen from night to night. There's so many unknowns. There's so many. And so it does require a certain type of artist to be able to be in this environment and to make this show work. And it's, for me, it's perfection. For me, it is the type of theater that I have prayed for a very long time. It's the type of theater that studied, growing up in high school and college and the master's program. When I used to learn about the living theater and the open theater and the theaters back from the 60s and the 70s, this immersive and exposed and raw troops that would take theater beyond the proscenium march and experiment with new conventions and creating things that had never been done. And here I'm getting a chance to live that, still in the corporate commercial world of Broadway, which I have my issues with. But with that said, being able to reach into the depths of something that's raw and visceral and has never been done before. What we're doing in Masquerade has never been done anywhere on the globe in the history of theater. And so I feel so proud, man, and privileged to be a part of this unique experience and the first of its kind to ever be done. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is very, there's nothing like it. I know when I went the first time, I didn't know what to expect, and everyone said, "Oh, it's like Sleep No More," and I was like, and I went to Sleep No More, but it's not. Like, there's elements of this. It's like that, but it is so unique. But I saw it the last time I saw Nick Walker and as the Phantom, and I was wondering how he held it together, because like he gets in my face and I'm kind of smiling and laughing not laughing, but like I'm enjoying the moment so much that I'm really enjoying it. The guy standing next to me's got on a Batman mask, like, and I know there's been a couple of those, but like, how does the audience, like, being so close and so with you, like, do you have any of those moments where it's just like I turn and all of a sudden there's this thing happening that does not happen when you're on stage as much?
I personally, I welcome it and invite it all. Nothing deters me or really throws me off. I'm so deep in character. Just as you said, Brother Nick may have been in that scenario. I use everything to my advantage to tell my story and to further it from night to night. If there was someone in a Batman costume, I'm using it. I'm using everything. It's to what someone smells like. As I'm that close to what someone's hand feels like as I touch them. It's highly tactile. It's highly connected, you know what I mean? And for me, and the type of artist that I am, and the specificity and the discipline and the details that I search for and I need and I use to create my Phantom and the world of Masquerade, I say the more the merrier. I'll take it all, and I will use it in the more that comes, the greater the performance and the greater the effect. So I do have a very, very disciplined approach that thrives in simplicity, but where there's an abundance of information around me, that way I can do even less. It's powerful. It makes the performance that much more powerful, the more that people bring to the table, because he's the Phantom. He doesn't have to do much at all. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Do you seek out certain people that it's like, oh, they're bringing an energy? Like, because you say you immerse yourself so much into the character. And as I look around the room, I'm a very observant person. Otherwise, I wouldn't have called out Grisabella and had 250 episodes about this topic if I didn't have that kind of thing. And I'm looking around going like, one of the friends I went with did not want to be super engaged with. And the other friend was like, talk to me all you want. And so do you notice that? Do you seek that out? Or are you just so engaged in the character that it's just happening like you're not even there?
No, I'm not seeking out who wants to be engaged and who doesn't. No, the fact that you accepted my invitation and you showed up, that means you're a part of it. So it doesn't matter to me if someone is fearful or not, or, I mean, granted, I've never dealt with anyone who's afraid.
Yeah.
But if you're in the building and you're in an earshot or eye shot or hand shot of me, you're part of the story. Yeah. And thank God that there has never been any kind of tragic, things that happen. But even if they did, I would respectfully roll with it and we'd make it work.
Yeah, and there's nothing to be fearful of. It is
no,
incredibly immersive and fun and unique experience. And I mean, kudos to it is extremely accessible, and they've done an amazing job getting everyone who wants to experience it the opportunity to experience it. And so I cannot recommend it more. Everybody I talk to, I've recommended this show to, and love that they have a live lottery and lots of ways to see it. Extended, I think, again. Hopefully keep going because it's just so well done. Is there a room that you love most, like that you like to do most in the show? Is there one that really you're like, I'm so excited about this part?
No, I don't have a favorite of yet the show, because all of the rooms are still yet a work in progress for me. And so when I do my homework in the days, not at the theater at night, I'm working on various parts of the show, constantly refining detail of notes, thoughts, adding more character arc, adding more depth so that I can go in and put it in that the next night. And I enjoy all of that and everything. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's very, very exhausting. It's been when you have that, that much of work and detail. But eventually, I love to approach the work that way, because eventually it becomes a living, breathing organism on its own. And then there's so much freedom, in that. But this is just the beginning stages as I'm continuing to still build. And I'll say, it's a blessing that much progress we've made already. I love every single scene.
Yeah.
All of them are great.
It's beautiful from start to finish. Like, it's engaging from start to finish. I'm assuming the answer to this is probably no, but I'm going to ask it anyways. But
please,
it's not more or less difficult or challenging or physically demanding by going through room to room to room. Like, you're kind of constantly on the move versus being on stage. Is that just part of the deal, or more or less challenging than wearing an Old Deuteronomy suit? Like, how have you noticed the difference of that in a production like this, where you're cycling around just as much as we are, but behind scenes, sometimes not behind scenes. I walked with the Phantom for like a stretch down a hallway during one of the times. But is that it's different, but is it harder, easier, the same?
Than a proscenium show?
Yeah.
Oh, it's far more difficult. Far more difficult. It's the challenges of what we're doing at Masquerade for the actor, for the performer. Oh my, listen. It is taxing on the body. It's taxing because we're going from floor to floor. It's a 7-story building, I believe.
Yeah. 6
or 7 stories. And we're on almost every floor. And of course, we're guiding the audience through, but when we're not on stage, we're navigating, backstage traffic, up and down the stairs, up and down and around corners, and ducking and hiding and rolling and getting down underneath the ground to pop up in another area, just so that we can continue to keep that magic alive as if it's completely seamless, which it is, right?
Yeah.
There's a moment that you see me like right in front of you, and then a second later, you don't see me, but I'm there, but you just see parts of me. And it's not magic, it's effort, it's timing, it's disciplined traffic, and it's practice. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
what you don't see happening behind the scenes. And that's just my part. And I have one of the easiest tracks in the whole show. For my brothers and sisters who play the other parts and within the ensemble and the covers, it's 10 times more difficult than what I have to do. So it's far more difficult than a proscenium show.
It is one of those things that as an audience member, my brain works very logistics and structure and trying to go through. I was dying to interview at some point the person that put it all together. Because I want to see like just the floor plan of like, where was I when I was next to this?
Yeah.
And was I next door to the room that's happening over there? Because like we're all going at the same time. It's so well orchestrated. And that was kind of where my question came from, is that I took some escalators up and down. And while I'm taking my leisure stroll to the next room, you got to be sprinting from, one part of the room to the other to get to your next spot.
Indeed. And all the whole time, of course, people approach it differently. But for me, who's in character most of the show, using that offstage traffic to further where my character is going to make the next entrance, right? So all of that has to be navigated as well, which is another whole layer that I've never had the beauty to experience in any show that I've been a part of, with this much offstage life. Yeah. Which again, I love. It's just I can literally be the Phantom from the time I arrive to the time I leave the stage. There's no dressing room sitting down time. There is no going to the water cooler, just sit and just shoot the breeze. For me, particularly, so much, and I just really love that approach to the work.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who hasn't seen it, who's considering? Like, what's your pitch to them?
As an audience member?
Yeah, for an audience member. Why should they come see it?
Oh my goodness. You should come see Masquerade because it is eternally brilliant, beautiful, bold, and an experience you have never seen, felt, touched, tasted before in your entire life. I don't care what show you've seen anywhere in the world, you haven't had a taste of this ever. For that, I think all people should come and get this at least one time in their life. I am so grateful that as an actor, I can say that, as an audience member and now as an actor being in it, what a privilege. What a privilege. If the show ended for me right now today, it's made me a better artist. It's made me a better audience member just for being a part of this journey of Masquerade, and nothing can take this away from me. I'm fulfilled completely with this show.
I love it. I would also echo that, which is whether Phantom's your favorite show, whether it's something you've never seen, whether it's something that you've always wanted to see, this is a different version like you'd never seen. And I always felt that my answer to your question, and I think the whole thing's really brilliant, but the beginning, the intro, and the ending are two of the most powerful rooms that you'll have as in a theater experience. And it's a very, very cool way from start to finish to experience in a different show every time you see it. So I was in a different spot of the room the second time I went, and I had interactions with other characters I didn't even know were in the room the first time I went. And so that's a very unique part to the show, and I hope more people get to see it.
May I add to that too, brother? You just mentioned something that hit me. I wasn't a fan of Phantom coming into this show. Of course, I'd known about what it was. Of course, I'd never really sung the music before, but I knew the show. I knew of the history of this, kind of just like CATS approach. And I had seen it once, years ago when I was probably first or third year of college, undergrad. Came up to New York during some audition times and sat and watched Phantom. Was not my cup of tea at all. Like I said, my version of what I love in theater is raw, edgy, bold. I wasn't really a fan of the classics of theater, and I wasn't really a fan of what we call legit singing back in the day at all. But Masquerade, this is a whole nother thing. And not only have I gone from that place in my perspective of Phantom of the Opera to what we're now doing in Masquerade, it's one of the greatest pieces and productions I've ever been a part of. And I can say that confidently. You know what I mean? It's not the old Phantom at all. So whether you're a fan of Phantom or not, this is an experience you have to have.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it. I was not getting to it, but I was maybe alluding to it. Phantom was also not my favorite first time. Yeah. And I only saw it because when it was closing on Broadway, I did a ton of episodes they had 5 or 6 people who had done Cats, and we did a series together, and I'd never seen it. So I had to finally go and went and saw it. And it was, again, it's incredible performances and it's a spectacle and the music is great, but it was similar. I was like, all right, that was fun. That was a good show, really great performances. And then Masquerade, I was floored by and talked to, everyone that I knew who'd seen it, being like, let's chat, because I want to hear what you thought about this room and what you thought about that part of the show and parts that I didn't even really pick up on stage of the story that I didn't notice and now makes more sense to me.
Yes.
So I did really appreciate the experience. And my only gripe is I haven't put on that was the first time I put on a suit in a long time, was to come see your show. That was, I thought about that. I was like, I had to dust off my suit to come to your show.
Oh yes. Isn't that the beautiful part about what you were just explaining about reinvention and revival, true revival of a piece of work in theater and art, that you can take something that, for you and myself, it wasn't really our cup of tea. Same story told in a whole new way, presented in a whole new way through the brilliance of the visionary creative team that built the show, and the architects that designed the show, and the craftsmen that built the lighting and the sound engineering for this show, particularly for Masquerade to work in this way. It floors me. I'm just in awe, literally jaw dropped walking through as an audience member, and now even as a performer being in it, just fulfilled and thrilled and expanded in such a way that no other show can give me like this. That's powerful to me, and I love that about art.
Yeah, and I think a huge shout out to Andrew Lloyd Webber for doing that, because he's doing this too with the Jellicle Ball. The same thing for
Absolutely.
A lot of the Cats haters are experiencing it in a way that they've never experienced before.
And now you love it.
I give him a lot of credit that he is allowed this art to evolve that way, and I mean in such a unique and different way, and these aren't things that were flops that you're bringing back. These are extremely successful pieces of theater history that are being reinvented in a way that's modernized and really unique. So I mean, kudos to everyone involved, and I think it's good for the art form and good for people, and it just helps the brands more too. Like, it helps. I now want to see another stage production of Phantom, because I felt like I learned a little bit more, the same way I love seeing different productions of Cats after seeing the Jellicle Ball, and can't wait to go see their performances soon.
Well, I cannot wait to go see the Jellicle Ball. Haven't seen it yet. I had tickets back at the Perlman, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But that was during the time that I believe a lot of the beautiful performers there got COVID or were sick, and they had to cancel some performances. So me and my son were going together. I was taking my son who was staying with me here in New York from college. He's a up and coming musical theater young man trying to get into the business, and we wanted to go enjoy the show together. But we will definitely go see it on Broadway. I'm excited.
You have to. You'll really, especially as as someone who knows the story and the lore, like, you will be floored with how they went about it. So
I can't wait.
Okay, let's do some real quick rapid fire to get to the $1 million question, and this is all Cats related. So if you could go on for one cat one night, whether you could sing it, dance it, doesn't matter, male, female, any cat, who would you want to perform as?
Oh, I could dance?
Yeah, it just, I mean, I can do any of them. So I say, just who would you want to, if you could go out there and perform it, like the best version you've ever seen perform that character, who would you want to be?
Oh man, I have two answers to this. Number one, it would be Old Deuteronomy.
Okay. Stay true. Yeah.
Old Deuteronomy. I mean, it's me and powerful and yeah, it'd be Old Deuteronomy. It'd do exactly what I did. If there was a second to that, it would be Mr. Mistopheles.
Do those turns. I love it. Who are your favorite and least favorite cats from a character perspective? Like, which one would bug you? Which one would you love? Like, who would you want to hang out with? And I'm asking this as you, Quentin, not necessarily as Old Deuteronomy.
Cat would I love to hang out with? Probably Gus the theater cat.
Okay. And who's going to bug you?
Who's going to bug me? Which cat were irritating? I don't remember. Oh, bug me. Maybe you know this better. Any of the cats would be, who seemed a little too high strung? Gimble Shanks, maybe. He's always just fidgety and just all over the place. I mean, I love Skimble, but I can't take too much of that.
Okay. Okay.
If you got to pipe down and chill, you got to chill out.
Yeah. What's your favorite song in the show? In Cats?
Favorite song? Well, Mistopheles.
Okay. If you could invite one cat to the Masquerade, who's your first invitation going to as a Phantom?
Rum Tum Tugger, he's fun.
Tugger, okay. I think the one that would be there first though would be Buster Jones.
Because like his look.
He's already there. He's already got the look.
Yeah.
He's already got the he's got the money. He's got the box.
Course.
He's got the
of course.
Yeah. Okay, so my final question, and the show is based on the idea that I don't think Grisabel's the right Jellicle Choice. So it's always fun to ask Old Deuteronomy this question, but I want to hear, who is your Jellicle Choice? If you're picking, who is your Jellicle Choice and why?
Oh, it's going to be Grisabella every time.
You're picking Grizz every time. Okay, what's your rationale for why?
Because it's about the cats. It's about the people. Grisabella's ascension to the Heaviside layer wasn't about Grisabella. It's about them. They never could evolve if she didn't go. The way that they treated her, the way that they shunned her, the way that they ousted her, it's only by their collective understanding or you move forward in love, or you find forgiveness, or you repent of your sins, or you take a step forward in excellence and elevation that you can ever change. And if Grisabella didn't go, they don't get the arc of that within themselves so they can look at themselves in the mirror and make a change. So it has to be Grisabella every time so that they can then see themselves and say, oh, Lord, have mercy on me. Woe is me. Who am I to, you know what? There's more for me to do. I have to change. And that's the reflective in everybody's life. It's to the least of these, to those who are on the fringes of society, who are left as outcasts or outsiders, or that's the scripture all over again that Jesus teaches me to do, and so many of us to do. To love our neighbors and those who are considered lost and forgotten. We so easily look over them, and we so easily treat them wrong, and we so easily put our foot on top of it when it should be just the other way around. And so that's why it has to be Grisabella every time. And Deuteronomy knew that. And he wanted that for the cats. But like I said, it had to be a collective decision and make them make that, define it for themselves.
Yeah. So I agree with everything you said, except where I lose for me, the story is what does it mean to go to the Heaviside layer? Because I think that everything you said is exactly right. This is someone we've got to accept. But then I struggle with, then it's like, all right, we've made this great collective agreement that we want you back with us. And we need you to be like, we're going to finally say yes to you. And then, by the way, we're going to kill you. Like, now we're going to send you off. Like spend I want her to be next year's choice. Like, we just welcomed her back. So let's spend a year, have a birthday party, go to some other things together with your family that's finally reignited or rejoined with you. So that's where I lose it. Is I'm like, let's have that exact message you said, but then we'll send Gus because he needs to go, and we'll let Grisabella hang with us now because we've collectively finally said, hey, you're one of us now.
Well, that's if you believe that death is the end of life. It isn't. It's just the beginning of something new, and it's the beginning of eternity. What greater place is there to be? What greater pursuit is there to have than eternal life in paradise, eternal life in the promised land, eternal life in heaven? So it is the greatest reward. It is the greatest prize to ever achieve. That's my greatest prize, even as I live here on this earth. So my story of cats is doing the same, and Grisabella has ascended to that, and hopefully the other cats, through their own repentance and their own journeys, they'll get to have that same prize or reward as well.
Yeah, I think that's the crux of the story, and that's where my debate, always stems from, which is like, I don't disagree with that at all. And I think that's actually where, when you see the Jellicle Ball, when you see it, I think you'll see it feels a little bit less like the end and more like the beginning for Grisabella. And so I think I told them when I saw it that I was like, you kind of joked with them, like, you ruined my show, like you ruined my podcast, because like this does feel like that for them. So it fits.
Well, kudos to them. That's powerful, right?
Yeah.
Death is not the ending.
Yeah. Well, this has been very fun. How can people stay in touch with you on social media? And we'll obviously link to how to get tickets to Masquerade so people can come see you.
Oh, they can't. I don't have.
No social media. Okay, we'll link the Masquerade stuff then.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Go to Masquerade, link the Masquerade information. Please come see the show. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
It is worth every penny. It is. I can't express how much fun it is and how unique it is. And hopefully this gave you a taste of it, just to get you excited. And it's going through, I think, July, I saw, and probably hopefully extended many more times.
Yeah, I wish I could say more about that. I wish I could say more about that, man. It's an eternal piece that's going to have an eternal life, man. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Money talks, so buy more tickets and they'll keep extending, I'm sure.
There you go.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. It was an absolute blast.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Well, thank you, and thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown the cast feed. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other podcast. Follow us on social media at The Wrong Cat Died, or check our website, thewrongcatdied.com.